So for all my life, I've been told that discipline is this thing that you need to get. Like, you need to wake up in the morning, you just need to get discipline, you just need to, like, force your fist into some hole or something and do some crazy shit. Like, just go outside and do some push-ups in, like, mud and, like, that's the nature of discipline, right? That's what we're all told. That is, like, the caricature of discipline, right? It's the army dude, it's the marine. It's like, this is how you become disciplined. It's like, when you don't feel like it, you just do it anyway. Lol, that's how you become disciplined. It's like, yeah, I mean, you've described discipline, but that's not really the basis of how you get discipline. Like, for someone who can barely get out of their bed in the morning, or for someone who, like, doesn't want to, like, I don't know, do their dishes or some shit, it's like they can watch as many army videos as they want, but ultimately, that, you know, this isn't going to help them. It's understanding how we can actually create discipline out of nothing, and how we can actually cultivate it, and, you know, how we can become a disciplined individual from not going to the army, from not shoving our hands in random holes and doing push-ups and, like, I don't know, walking dogs at like 3 a.m. I don't know what these guys say half the time. But that's basically the point of this video, is that when I was originally looking into discipline and following all these videos, I realized that, like, like, watching the videos, you can't cultivate discipline from that. But you can cultivate discipline, and you absolutely can get it out of thin air, and you can hack it. And let's just get right into it, because I'm going to show you how. So the etymology of the word discipline comes from, like, basically following the rules, right? That's what the word discipline actually means. And essentially, something I've realized is that, well, discipline at its core is exactly that. It's just following rules, no matter how you define it, no matter how you want to spin it, no matter how sexy you want to make it and make you sound like some army guy or anything like that. It's just following a set of rules either society's placed on you, or, more importantly, you've placed on yourself. And the thing is, we can place rules on ourselves and follow them and actually stick to them if we do one thing, right? So a lot of the times, people will say, I want to be disciplined, but they don't really have any rules in place. And if they try to put rules in place, if they say, like, oh, I'm going to be disciplined with my diet this week and I'm not going to eat sugar or something like that, the reason why that's so hard is because we were the ones that placed the rules on ourselves, right? So if I say, you know, I want to go to the gym, I haven't been to the gym this week, let me just do that. Okay, it's like, that can seem good in the moment, but ultimately, especially in the past where I failed doing that, is you are incredibly smart, okay? I think a lot of people out there think they're dumb, think they're stupid, think they're lazy. That's not the case. You are incredibly smart, and anytime you set rules for yourself, anytime you try to be disciplined, it's just that you're so smart that you come up with ways to break those rules, like, legally, if you will. Like, you find loopholes in the rules you set, right? So the most important thing is that our present self does not set rules for ourselves, because we know we're going to break them, right? So we need to kind of tap into motivation and discipline and figure out what it actually is, so that then we can set rules that we can't break. So the easiest way I do this is a bit of a mental reframe. And the way I see discipline is just that, you know, whenever you say, I want to be disciplined, I want to be motivated, that's not actually you. That is your most successful future self, essentially, like, talking to your present self and beckoning you for a challenge, if you will. So whenever you get motivated, whenever you get excited, whenever you're like, I'm going to be disciplined this week, that is your most successful future self. And the thing is, if we want to reach that most successful self, we need to follow the set of rules that he provides us, right? So a lot of the time, you know, I used to focus on, like, you know, I'm going to be disciplined this week, I'm not going to play video games, I'm going to do all this stuff when I was, like, you know, back when I was a teenager. But the issue with this is that I would always find a way to break that. And if I wanted to reach my most successful self, I basically need to play by the rules that he's living in, right? I can't play by my own rules anymore because I'll always cheat them. So I need to play by his rules. So how you do this is, rather than just thinking, like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to become disciplined? How am I going to lose weight? How am I going to study? How am I going to do any of this stuff? I think the easiest thing to do, from what I've found personally, is just to figure out what would your most successful self do, and what would be the rules that he would set in place in order to become that individual, right? So a lot of people think that discipline is this game of, like, the angel and the devil on the shoulder, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to listen to the devil this week. I want to listen to the angel and he's going to guide me and all this stuff. It's not really like that. It's more so you in your present situation wanting to get to a desired situation, and it's basically looking at how that individual got there and how that individual acted and the beliefs that person has and the actions that person takes and the rules in which they take, and then essentially replicating that onto your current present self. So what this looks like is basically figuring out, well, first of all, if we want to develop rules, then we need to figure out like where we're actually starting from, because we can't really create rules if there's no, if we're not aware of the boundaries that we need to set, right? So first of all, we need to define our goal. We need to figure out, and just for example, you know, I'm going to lose weight, right? I want to be more disciplined with weight loss. I don't want to just buy dog shit food and I don't want to eat the dog shit food, right? So first of all, we need to realize, okay, like how much dog shit food am I eating on a week? Like, why am I buying this? Why am I doing this? And genuinely, like the biggest thing that's helped me is just writing this stuff down. So obviously you're your own individual. You're incredibly smart. You're incredibly capable. You're more than welcome to do this in your own method. I'm not saying this is gospel or anything. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you become disciplined. But the biggest thing that's helped me personally is literally my notes app on my phone, right? It's the most valuable, powerful thing ever. And you just want to write down, like, why do I do this? What am I dealing with? What am I trying to achieve? And the amount of self-awareness this can bring, it seems hard at first, and there's a lot of resistance behind it. It seems like such a simple activity, but when you do this for the first time, or you know, the first 5 minutes of this activity, you can be really like feel a lot of resistance and, oh, is this really necessary? Like, I'm just writing on my notes. Oh, I'll do it later, or I'll do it in my head, or anything like this. But when you put these physical thoughts into words and you can see them, you can then judge them so much easier, right? Like, a lot of the times when we think and we have thoughts, they're intangible. They're floating around in our brain, and we think we can judge our own thoughts, but it's not until we can see that on paper that we can kind of judge it, and almost like a test. Like, we see the words, like a school test, I mean, we can underline it and we can go, okay, well, that's not right. This is not right. Why do I believe that? This, right? So just simply understanding where you're coming from originally and going, okay, what am I trying to accomplish? I'm trying to accomplish weight loss. Well, first of all, I want to reach this goal. So first of all is defining your goal. Second of all is defining where you're starting. So once again, we can't do like a before and after, like the Biggest Loser weight loss transformation, without figuring out where we started and where we want to get to, right? Because ultimately it's the contrast in between those that once we figure out the rules we need to set to bridge this gap, that's when we achieve the goal, and that's when we actually make progress, right? A lot of the times in the past when I was, you know, trying to quit video games or do any of this stuff, trying to lose weight, is the goal was intangible and I didn't really know where I was starting from, and I didn't really know how to get there, right? The biggest killer of motivation, discipline, whatever buzzword you want to call it, is just not being clear on like what you're actually trying to accomplish. A lot of guys, especially like my past self, they would, you know, wake up and watch a lot of YouTube videos that would be like how to get to 10k a month, how to do all this stuff. And it sounds exciting, it sounds sexy, you know, think, oh, I want to reach 10k per month. But until you actually define how you're going to do that, business models, niches, how you're going to actually create value in the market, like all this stuff, it's intangible, right? So you can chase, you can build products all you want, and I'm talking to my past self here. I've created over 5 different YouTube channels in the past 9 years. I've created so many different businesses, all this stuff, and every single one of them failed except for my current one, purely because they were just intangible, right? That I was chasing ghosts in the night and I couldn't actually achieve any of this because I didn't define what I was actually chasing. So first of all, define your goal. Second of all, define where you're at currently. And then third of all, it is the contrast in between these two that you can find the rules you need to set in order to develop discipline. So the easiest way I do this is by essentially disassociating from this future self that I'm trying to become, and I pretend it's an entirely different person. And I basically imagine, it sounds kind of weird, it sounds like some hippie, like spiritual, like imagine the spiritual being in your room or some bullshit. But truly, just for a second, if you want to just play along with me, you just want to imagine the person you are trying to become. You imagine they are in front of you, how they dress, how they look, how they speak, you know, what they've actually done to achieve that goal. And you basically just want to be a student of them. And you want to think you're having a conversation with them and you're going basically like, so like, what do I have to do? How do I get here? And these are the rules in which you're trying to set that discipline has been made up on, right? So remember, discipline is just following a set of rules. This is where you're going to get the rules. You're going to get the rules from this perfect self that you see in front of you, right? You can close your eyes or you can just imagine them. And you want to imagine them telling you exactly how they got to where they are now. So I understand this sounds a little bit intangible, so let me run through the process, right? So you'll think, okay, I've got where I am now, I've got where I want to be. What does this goal look like personified, right? So it'll be you. What does it look like? Okay, so how do I actually get there? Like, what would that person have to do on a daily basis in order to bridge the gap between desired situation and my current negative situation? Well, let's say for weight loss, right? You know, I've been in the gym for a few years, but my body is nowhere near where I'd like it to be, right? I'm trying to go on a cut at the moment. I'm trying to lose some weight. So we'll actually do a live example of this. So, and just remember, everything is perspective. Don't ever look at where someone else is at and think, oh, like, why are they struggling with discipline, or why are they doing this, or anything like that. Like, we all have our own individual goals, and the biggest killer of discipline is essentially looking at where other people are and letting them take your joy, right? So comparison is the thief of joy. So we don't want to do that. So this is just my example. Don't think you have to follow along. Just create your own example, but I'm going to run through mine. So I'd imagine my most successful self in terms of health, he's jacked, he's about 75 kgs, he is about 8 to 10% body fat. I'm looking at him right now, he's absolutely shredded. And I'm just going to ask this guy, like, so what do I actually need to do to get there? Well, the thing is, I know for a fact to get like that guy has to train at least once per day. The guy has to get 8 hours of sleep, so two things there. His diet is definitely locked in. He's not only counting his macros, but he's also counting his calories. And what else? What's he eating? Well, he's eating like organic whole foods. At the moment I'm traveling, so I can't do that, but we'll add that to the list. And he's looking after his testosterone levels. He's getting sun, he's getting water, he's getting vitamin D, he's getting all this good stuff. So just for example, that's 5 things I came up with right there. And the thing is, the less knowledgeable about the gap you're trying to bridge, the harder this process will be. So there will be a little bit of research you need to do. So don't ever, think, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to get shredded, but I've never even been to the gym before, I've never even trained before. Don't think that this is going to be an easy process where you can just come up with things like that. But you might need to do some research. You might need to figure out, like, how do I actually bridge that gap? How do I reach that goal? And then once you've done that, these are the rules that this man has just given me that I need to follow. 8 hours sleep, training once a day, macros and calories accounted for, sunlight exposure, water, optimizing my testosterone levels, and there was something else I forgot. But typically you'd write this down, right? And so these are your rules that you need to follow on a daily basis. And this is how you cultivate discipline. Now, here is the biggest thing where I went wrong so many times in the past, and I'm so grateful I discovered this. And this is going to be a bit of a weird analogy, so hopefully you can follow along with me. But I got this from video games, right? So essentially, a lot of times in video games, there'll be what they call a bug, where it's essentially like there's a problem with the video game that the players of the video game can then exploit to get added benefits, so added currency or added resources, whatever the game is, right? So essentially a bug will exist, and then the players will always find a way to exploit that bug. And it's only once the developers of the game have seen the players exploiting that bug, can they then patch the bug, so get rid of the bug, and then, return the game back to its normal state, right? And this is the exact same way with discipline. So we have a desired goal, we have the rules we're trying to play, but here's where your brain will go a little bit funny. Like I was saying before, your present self is incredibly smart. He will see these rules and he will do anything in his power to not follow those rules, okay? So for example, counting calories, I could see that rule and think, oh, that's a rule of mine in order to get to where I want to be. But, I didn't actually define how I'm going to count calories. So therefore, I'm just going to eat cake. And as long as it's within my calories, then I'm good, right? So this is how your brain will come up with ways to exploit the bug, right? So your present self exists as the player of the game. And then you have the rules, which is the game itself. And then within the rules, there might be bugs. So there might be areas that you can perceive as the player and then go, oh, how do I exploit this, right? The thing is, your most future successful self, he does not exploit the bugs. So he is actually the developer of the game, and it's his job to patch the holes, to patch the bugs in the rules so that your present self cannot exploit it, okay? I hope you followed through. Super powerful if you have. But this is the nature of discipline, right? So it's not a simple process where you just wake up one day and you're just jacked and you do push-ups and you do all this stuff. You essentially need to have a set of rules that you're trying to follow, and then watch how your present self is going to exploit these rules and do anything but follow the rules, okay? So another example might be training once a day. Well, if I don't define what training is once per day, if my future successful self does not define what training is once per day, what type of training, how long, how intense, well then my present self is just going to go train one day. He's technically following the rules, but he's going to do it half-assed and he's going to do it lazily, and it's not going to be a good effort, and ultimately that's not going to lead to my most future successful self, right? So what you need to do is you then need to have the self-awareness to go, okay, I have this set of rules, but I'm not really following them. And you kind of know internally, right? You're incredibly smart. You're actually incredibly self-aware. It's just that we can get into the habit of numbing ourselves to this self-awareness because it's just so much easier to not be self-aware, right? And it's something I do today, something everyone does. So don't put yourself down or feel bad if you're doing that, because this is really difficult, okay? Once again, it's going to seem like you just wake up one day and you just get disciplined and you just do this and your life's going to be awesome. But the thing is, this takes, days, weeks, months, years of cultivation, of having a set of rules, knowing what you have to do, but then watching how you don't actually achieve it. And then it's only within the exploits that you notice where you're not actually following the rules properly. Like you technically are, but you're not doing it properly. That's when you need to go into developer mode, if you will, and you need to patch it. And this is the nature of discipline. It's building out these rules so much that they cannot be exploited by your lazy present self. I'm not calling you lazy, but we can get into these modes where we are naturally our laziest present selves, right? And this is the self that's going to exploit these rules. So we need to essentially look at fixing up these rules so that then we can achieve the goal. So rather than just starting with like train once a day, count my calories, get some sunlight, organic whole foods, stuff like this, we're basically going to add to these rules over time, all these different, not restrictions, but nuances, if you will. So we can then have a clear, defined set of processes and actions that we basically, as long as we follow what's on the rule sheet, then we cannot fail and we cannot exploit it, right? So instead of just counting my calories, it's going to be counting my calories with MyFitnessPal, and the calories I eat must be made up of organic whole food, animal-based diet, such as meat, eggs, blah, 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 right? You're going to define it. And the only way you come up with this defined set of rules is by watching your present self exploit this, right? So you're probably curious now, like, this is all well and good. It sounds good. You probably got like a motivation boner right now. You're all excited, but we need to ask ourselves, like, what's actually stopping us from just ignoring this shit entirely and just never doing it? Well, that's a great question. And ultimately, there's two things. One is internal habits, okay? So the longer you do this, the harder it's going to break because you've just built up that internal consistency and it's going to feel kind of weird to break it. But that's not enough in the early days. This is going to be a bit of a, what's the word? Not a common tip, but it's easily the most powerful tip. It's give other people your hard-earned money and basically get people to hold you accountable, okay? A lot of people will go on the internet these days, including my past self. This is what I used to do. I used to go on random forums and I'd go, hey guys, I'm looking for an accountability partner. Can anyone hold my hand for free, basically? And the thing is, like, this might work sometimes. You might have a friend that really looks after you, but there's going to be no greater motivator for anyone to hold you accountable than if money's on the line, right? So the best times that I've been held accountable, and this is the reason why I upload pretty much every single day on this YouTube channel, is that when I first started, I posted on my Instagram story, I said, hey guys, I have to upload on my YouTube channel every single day. If I don't, I owe whoever calls me out first. I forgot how much money I said, $50 or something. So 50 Australian dollars was on the line if I didn't upload, and the first person that called me out, I gave them $50, right? Now, did I ever do that? Absolutely not, because I was not going to lose my hard-earned money. And to this day, I've uploaded over 60 videos since I've said that, right? So as much as I'd love to say, you just got to grind, and you've just got to hustle, and you've got to say all this stuff, sometimes there's nothing worse than just losing your hard-earned money, right? And you're going to be tempted to say, oh no, I'll just give you $10, bro, just $10. No, it's like, the amount of money you choose to give an individual has to be enough money where you go, shit, that's gonna hurt. Like, I cannot lose that. And you're gonna be so tempted to just say, oh, no, don't worry about it. Oh, no, it's okay, bro. And dude, especially your friends, if you do it with a friend, they're going to be like, oh, no, it's okay, bro. Like, I called you out and I held you accountable, but don't worry, bro. Like, it's okay. You know, you don't have to pay me. You know, it's okay. I'm your friend. I wouldn't do that to you. No, okay? You need to choose a friend that is a ruthless mofo that's going to say, oi, buddy, you owe me that money. It's been 1 minute past when you said, give me that money, mofo. I'm going to use this to, like, you know, go clubbing or something, right? So you need to choose someone. A, choose someone who's actually going to hold you accountable. And B, choose an amount of money or choose something that's on the line that's genuinely going to make you think, shit, I cannot lose here. And this is the greatest glue to your discipline, okay? So a lot of individuals out there, they'll be naturally disciplined because they have a strong why, right? They have a strong motivation. Perhaps they've been in the army, perhaps they've been in some sort of tough workforce, perhaps they've just been generally passionate about something for so long that if they were to stop doing that, they would just feel sick, right? But the thing is, when we're starting out, when we're trying to cultivate this discipline and this passion for work, it can be very, very difficult. So we need these external accountability motivators, if you will, to hold us accountable, keep us disciplined, and keep us on the right track and following these rules that we've set for ourselves. So apologies if this video is a little bit all over the place, but I hope you got the gist. If you're interested in more, feel free to subscribe, check out these videos up here, and I'll see you again very, very soon. All right, much love. Catch you later. Bye-bye.